Alright guys and gals, welcome to round 1, game 6 of the Tiny Wars Open Tournament. I am Advanced Warrior.
And I'm CJ.
And today's video is Adept999, player 1 as Brenner versus Abreu. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, Abreu, player 2 playing as Lin.
So let's get on to the CO pick, shall we? So top left, Adept is playing a classic Brenner. Brenner is a high tier CO. His zone radius is 3 and his buff, day-to-day buff is 10% offense, 30% defense. And then his CO power is all units get 10-30 and then plus 3 HP, so you get a global heal from that. Pretty straightforward, pretty defensive for all units.
Yep, and as for Lin, has a very small zone radius of 1, but gives all ground units plus 30% offense and 30% defense. All non-ground units just get the 10% boost that all CO zones offer. As for her power, obviously the CO zone expands globally and gives all of her units plus 2 vision and allows them all to see through hiding spaces. Now this makes a lot more sense in fog rather than standard, so why would you ever consider using this power? But remember that all CO zones will expand globally whenever the COs use their powers, so that means all of Lin's ground units will get that 30% offense and defense. So it's still very, very viable in standard play.
Yep, and so both of these are classically picked COs. Lin is generally considered a little bit lower, maybe like mid-high tier, but Brenner is definitely like the second or third best CO just because his zone radius of 3 makes it a lot easier to charge, and then his heal synergizes very well with his day-to-day of making his units a lot harder to kill.
Oh, Battlecopter already from Adept. I find this matchup very interesting because it's about like what's the best thing about the CO? Is it the CO zone size, where it is easier for them to use their bonuses and gain up charge, or the CO zone density? Remember, both of these COs have the same defense stats in their CO zone, but Lin is technically better in terms of boost because it gives an additional 20% attack to the ground units. But remember, it's a very small CO zone of 1, whereas Brenner, as you can see, expands all the way to 3. So it's about size versus density.
Yeah, and when Lin is a lot more difficult to use. I mean, having 1 zone is pretty different to having 3. Like having even 2 to 3 is pretty different, but still having 1, versus 2 or versus 3. 1 is quite hard because you don't get to hit the same target and get the boost for both attackers. Kind of if you see you want to hit from like 2 different sides, like the bottom and from the side, right? And so you wouldn't get that boost if you only have 1 zone. So Lin is generally harder, but she's not the hardest. There would be like Tabitha, who only boosts her COs, but yeah, it still does make a big difference. I think the zone matters a lot compared to the actual boost that you get.
Yeah, although Lin could maybe put herself in the tank and maybe start one-shotting infantry to get that immediate 10 charge, but they would have to do that 2 more times in order to get that very helpful CO zone of 2. But obviously a confident opponent is going to do their best to completely avoid that. So Lin, the better buffs, sorry to sound like a broken record, the better buffs, but a lot smaller zone. So looks like we're having a Adepts having the copter just like try to like shift over those mountains and like make the anti-air go completely opposite directions. Oh, another nice thing about Brenner is that his global CO's buffs are universal to all the units. Lin, unfortunately, is solely for ground.
Yeah. Okay, so we're seeing the game develop into, you know, we're getting out of the early game phase. We saw Abreu get a little bit aggressive with killing that copter, bike. What am I doing? That bike that was capping and preventing that. And then on the bottom as well, that tank reached out pretty far. He is gonna get first strike there. I didn't think that last move was very good on Abreu's side. I think it is losing him an advantage. There's a lot of bikes in the area, just a lot of units in general. That AA might be a little too slow to get into the fight there. That tank basically got a pretty free hit there. So overall, Abreu is down just a bit, that little advantage, but he doesn't have a tank to contest the top left. He has mechs, but those don't cover enough area. So that infantry and those two bikes are vulnerable on the left, I think.
Yeah, let's also consider that that Abreu had that tank all the way on the bottom left. However, they're still not able to capture that property that is right in front of the Abreu's CO tank. And is this out of range of the anti-air? I think it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is.
Yeah, it has to like loop around the rivers and like go through some rough terrain to reach that copter. So looks like Adept is going to get away with this copter right in front of Abreu's Lin tank. And he's just staying with it, trying to get as many buffs as he can. And as you can see, with that one CO zone, that second tank was not able to benefit from the buffs because of that one CO zone. I feel like the difference between a 1 CO zone and a 2 CO zone is absolutely huge. 3 to 4, I feel like 2 to 3. I mean, you just get a little bit more charge, a little bit more area, but the 1 to 2 I feel is very, very crucial. That tank probably would have died had it not been for the combination of Lin's small zone and Brenner's defense boost.
Yeah. We're gonna see that tank on the top continue to be uncontested because the B-copter can't get in there.
It can, but it doesn't want to.
Yeah, can't safely get in there. So Adept has a pretty good composition on the top. I guess he won't be able to prevent, or he is not willing to prevent that cap. But I think has a long-term advantage there because there aren't tanks coming over there for a couple more turns. At the bottom again, we see Lin getting zone 2. But that army over there is outnumbered. Anti-air are up front. I think those are gonna get hit, or Adept might just choose to back up.
There is a second one though. There is a second one though. Second anti-air for Abreu. And I kind of like what I saw earlier with Adept's awareness that anti-air, his bottom side was kind of open and exposed, but the anti-air didn't have enough movement to go through all that rough terrain to try to shoot down that copter. Even if it could reach, I don't think it would have killed, unless it was inside the Lin zone. Might have to.
No, it doesn't kill because the copter has 50 defense right now.
Oh yeah, currently 50 defense.
CO day-to-day plus veteran Z, so
yeah. And and that anti-air that's not in the CO tank is not gonna get that veteran boost. And I completely missed this, but anti-tank from Adept here. I have mixed feelings about this. They're kind of like a slightly more expensive artillery, a bit slower. But the fact that there are like so many roads that go around the edges of this map, I can kind of see the appeal to building an anti-tank on this map.
Yeah. I guess yeah, because the number of vehicles kind of is about comparable to the number of infantry. So yeah, maybe anti-tank works here. I would tend to be more on along the lines of going with 2 Arties or something, because that's about the same price.
About, yes.
Even 1 Artie will do fine. It exerts practically the same amount of pressure if you place them right and defend them.
Yeah.
I
some chip.
Don't know what that is about.
Chip damage.
Okay.
Chip damage from
yeah,
from Adept. So nice awareness. Very nice to see that. And he was able to follow it up by targeting the anti-air that would have originally threatened that copter. So now there's no big threats for that copter. Abreu cannot break through. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused because they both start with A, and I'm not trying to get it mixed up.
No, you're right. Abreu can't break through there.
Yeah, but I almost said Adept. That's why I'm stuttering.
Okay, I got you.
All right, so we're starting to see a little bit of a wall up. Looks like Abreu realizes that if they're going to try to stay and get that neutral property down there, they're going to lose a lot more than how much gaining that city would be worth. And right now, it's like, so far, a very slow game. Abreu is still in zone 2, and looks like Brenner is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like at their max. At their max, or like 2 zones up. I'm sorry. 60.
Yeah,
they are at their max.
I kind of want to see what the status of the money situation. Oh, okay. The money situation just changed with that power, actually. Let's see, we were at very comparable unit value, and then I think that power gave, what, like an extra 10k or something in value, I think? Yeah. So that's already putting in work. I'm going to continue.
Man, you gotta pause at the best moment of the game when they finally pop their power.
I was not paying attention to the values.
That's fair, but yeah,
but
a power coming from Adept. Yeah, like you said, like about 10,000 value gained. Yeah, and this not only is it for Adept to use it actively, but he can also use it defensively on Abreu's turn, because that 30% defense is staying until that next turn.
Yeah, so meanwhile Abreu still, has made decent progress, as much progress as you would kind of be able to as Lin, in terms of like CO energy. But again, like, it's just way harder for Lin to do that. So let's see. Yeah, Abreu is kind of retreating from the top side, and although Adept has a lot of damaged units, like, a lot of them can still capture within a few turns. They're pretty close by, and Abreu doesn't have enough to stop it, I don't think.
Yeah, if he sends in anything to stop it, it'll basically be suicide. And Adept on the top here is threatening a property, but is a little bit exposed, but is heavily covered by all the units there, especially that artillery on the top left side of that bike. It is at 9 HP, so Abreu still has some breathing room to save that property, but slowly that other one is in range of like other infantry, and looks like Abreu's trying to make a move here. I kinda don't like the artillery placement. Maybe the rocket just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the rocket covers just a bit. The artillery doesn't cover the most forward infantry, but it's still something that Adept will definitely have to calculate, or maybe even use a simulation to see if they would even want to attack into this. But we'll just see what they do. So
Yeah.
slowly moving the copter towards the death ball here. Gets that hit with the anti-tank. A bit surprised to see that it got a shot off, and Adept is also backing off. This is a very stally game, CJ.
I don't think this is stally. I think there's positional advantages going around. I mean, Adept really has the top side almost completely in their favor at this point.
Oh yeah.
So
definitely.
they don't need to be super aggressive at the bottom. They just need to hold their position, or well, reorganize is what they've been doing. Reposition so that they have an advantageous position, so they don't have any clear weaknesses. So I think both players are playing quite well, and I think the game is moving along. I don't think this is really too indicative of a stall.
Well, maybe not exactly a stall, but comparing to some other games that we've seen, definitely a lot of patience. We're not seeing anyone just like trying to make a move and then they get punished the next turn.
Yeah, we're not seeing like basically all-ins. Like we're seeing measured responses, which is what like you should see in like good players, really.
We just want to let you guys know this game took a month real time.
Yeah, there was a lot of I think planning, I guess. Like I think each player tended to use up a good portion of their allotted 3 days per turn. But yeah,
and look at the results.
They didn't waste that time. They are playing quite well.
The results are clearly showing. Just 3 days and they come up with turns like this. We have two giant death balls just staring at each other on both fronts. But Abreu looks like he's gonna have to be the one to make a move here, and looks like they are, or they're just slowly stopping the property and just shoving the indirects, inching them actually just a bit forward. And Lin's units also have the same amount of defense that Brenner has. The problem with Brenner, he does not have the same offensive power that Lin has, so it's going to be a lot more difficult if Brenner tries to attack into Lin versus Lin trying to attack into Brenner.
Yeah, either one or either player can't very easily break each other's balls. That's kind of how that goes.
Yeah, Lin might be able.
Defense is quite strong.
Lin might be able to do it a bit better if, unlike vice versa.
Yeah, but that's also at the cost of a smaller zone, so it's harder to get those units in.
I wonder if Abreu would like want the Lin CO tank to be on the other front, where there is no CO zone to defend all those units. However, though, if that tank were to trek all the way to the other side, the Brenner copter could maybe just push through, or would just go on the other side and do the same thing on the other front. So
yeah, that's like
Abreu definitely has to stick around. It looks like they got their full meter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just in general, the choice of what to put your CO unit in. Typically, I mean, the almost default answer is just put them in.
You cut off a little bit. Put them in a tank, you said?
Yeah. The almost default answer is just put them in a tank, but Brenner Copter works here decent too, and I think Adept got their CO first, if I remember correctly, and so they were able to decide where they ultimately were the one to decide where the CO goes, because the copter is just more mobile than the tank. It can get to the other side faster if you chose to like switch fronts, or if you chose to contest your opponent's CO. So I think Abreu wanted to go south, and so Adept followed and met them there, I think.
Look at that artillery
way,
coverage on the top
Adept
side.
is the one that gets inside.
That artillery coverage is crisp. It's covering every single unit. It's covering every single tile that could attack any of their foot soldiers on the front.
Yeah, that looks like a game of war chess.
It kind of does. All right, here. So Abreu just like kind of tucking himself in a corner, and they also have the CO power. They're not opting to pop it this turn. They're just slowly falling back, keeping that property neutral, but unfortunately they are losing properties on the top, if I may. Currently, Adept is 3 income ahead. So,
yeah, and so, yeah, for a long time, Abreu was at a disadvantage income-wise, and so has to be the one to make a move, if anything.
Yeah.
But it's quite hard here. It's pretty unclear whether or not they would have been able to make a move here. In the post-game, Abreu did say on turn 20, which was last turn, that they could have gone in and attacked instead of retreated from the bottom. But we ran some simulations, and
you ran some simulations.
I ran a simulation, and it was a very unclear position. There isn't a very easy way to see if like Abreu would actually win that engagement. I think they would be pretty even overall. And so in an even trade, I think Brenner is definitely favored to win that, just because he can recover his HP, and also already has an income advantage. So generally it's not looking good, and because of that, Abreu resigns on this turn.
Let me go back just a little bit quickly. Almost an unexpected resign, honestly. So looking at the results here, we have 3 income lead for Adept here, and 54 units to 45, only being about, what is that, 40? Why am I saying only? It's like around 40,000 behind, as well as 9 units. But I still like Abreu's position here. It's just that they, like we mentioned, they had to be the one to opt to move in, but Abreu, I guess, couldn't find a way and has waved the white flag. I wanted to go back a little bit with the Brenner copter here. I forgot to mention it earlier, but I wanted to say that it's a noticeable thing that's been going on, putting a CO with a large CO zone in a very mobile units. Therefore, they get the best of both worlds. They can move towards their army, and because they have a larger CO zone, it's a lot easier for them to get that charge and gain that gain those buffs that the CO zone has. So I really do like the idea of a Brenner copter.
Yeah, I mean Brenner works in almost anything.
Almost anything.
Like, because in with the larger zones, it's less important for that unit to be on the direct front lines, which means sometimes you can go for like a bike, for example. I sometimes go bike on COs with like 3, 4, 5 zone, just because it like you get them out fast, you have them out early, so they're early threats to get energy. They're also relatively safe. They don't have to be super close to the fighting. And so, and then in a similar way, like you could just put him in a B-copter, not only because of the mobility, but also because like he has a really high defense. B-copters, tend to just crumble in the face of anti-air, right? But at the very least, when you have like a CO, especially a defensive CO in it, they won't die in one shot. So that's nice. And then of course you can put him in the tank as you can with basically everyone else. So yeah, I feel like Brenner can kind of go in a lot of the typical choices. As well as, I don't know, you could try putting him in like a rig or something. I'm not going to tell you no, but that's the jank idea.
niche idea.
But I mean, because he has this big zone as well, like you don't have to have him attack either, but yeah.
Another thing I'd like to point out is because it's such an open map, I feel like Lin was going to have a lot more difficulty just trying to get use of their CO zone. That was definitely another factor that was going through my mind when I heard of this matchup. Just a wide open map, a bigger CO zone is going to have. It's not that they're going to have an easier time. It's just that the CO with the smaller zone is going to have a harder time to use their zone.
Yeah, I don't think either player made huge mistakes. I think Abreu made some mistakes that I could see clearly, or like maybe inaccuracies might be a better word. I don't know. They weren't huge mistakes. I didn't necessarily notice big mistakes on Adept's part exactly. So I think maybe Adept played a little bit better, but I think also just having Brenner, I think the Brenner B copter especially was a quite a good choice, just because I think in this context, a Brenner CO would like to be on the same side as enemy CO to contest the zone, and so I think the B copter was actually worth it there to make sure that Brenner was on the right side.
Yeah, I think it all kind of just came down to CO matchup, especially on this map. You want to value the CO zone over the CO densities of the stats. Up here, though, Abreu was losing like a few of their properties, but I think that all just comes down to like better micromanagement from the players. Like we said, this game took about a month in real time, and the results clearly show. You put in the time and the calculations, you will get results that you desire.
Yeah, pretty good game for both players.
Very, very good game. Honestly, proud for both of these players. I think they showed like a nearly flawless game. Both players played fantastic here. Alright, so Adept moves on to round 2 of the Tiny Wars Open Tournament. Thank you all so much for watching Game 6. To keep up to date with the games, feel free to subscribe and check out the Discord channel. Maybe you could beat some of the players here. Until next time, I'm Advanced Warrior.
And I'm CJ.
And you all have our warmest regards. Please take care.
Thanks for watching.
Ciao, ciao.